Are you ready to be inspired, equipped, challenged, but encouraged to move from where you are in life right now to that place you know you are destined to be? Join me, Robin May, in the Intentional Living Room. Hello, I'm Robin May, and welcome to this brand new series, Intentional Living with Life Coach Robin May. I am just so overjoyed that you have welcomed me into your home or your office via your television or computer screen. But let me tell you how much I wish that we were sitting face to face over a cup of coffee, really getting a chance to know one another. But for now, I'm going to have to pretend that you're nodding your head and you're saying, yes, girl, say that. Or even, now, wait a minute, I have a question about that. And maybe one day we'll be able to grab that in-person cup of coffee like old friends. Let me take a moment to introduce myself to you a bit more. Again, I am Robin May, and professionally, and that is a key distinction, because I am so much more than just what I do professionally. See, I'm coaching already. But again, professionally, I am a certified life coach and a licensed therapist. I share that because I believe it is important for you to know so that I can tell you that I am not just trying to boast about my resume, but because I want you to know that I have truly committed my life to empowering women and equipping couples. Listen, I'm low-key obsessed with helping people experience the life that God has promised them. And that's exactly what we're going to do through this series. Over the next several weeks, we are going on an intentional living journey. Here is a bottom line truth. If you're not living intentionally, you're living passively. And if you're living passively, life is happening to you. You aren't making life happen. But that's not going to be our story. We are going to explore what it means to actually live your life with intention. Each week, we're going to explore a different area of your life, from your finances to your health and even your relationships. So much more than that. We are going to learn some simple yet powerful steps that we can take to move from where we are to that place we know we are destined to be. So are you ready? Are you ready to go on this journey with me? I'm excited about it. But wait, there's one more thing I want you to do before we get started. I want you to reach out to a few of your girlfriends and invite them on this journey with you. Amazing women connect with other amazing women. So let's not do this by ourselves. I even have some pretty amazing girlfriends on the show with me today. So come on, let's do this. I am so excited to have my very first girlfriend here with me today in the Intentional Living Room. She is an amazing woman who has a passion for helping people express their unique brilliance. She even gave me a book to add to the living room library. She is a powerful woman, a wife, a mommy. She's a life coach and an author. Her name is Sherry Riley, and I just know you are going to love her. Welcome to the living room, Sherry.
Hello, thank you.
I'm so happy you're here. Now listen, everyone who comes to the living room has to follow 3 rules.
Okay.
Number 1, you got to keep it real, no pretense. I know you can do that.
You know that's me.
That is you. Then number 2, you got to stay relevant. We want to make sure that they can apply what we're talking about. But here's my favorite one. It's going to throw you off guard. Number 3 is you got to reveal something about yourself that is shocking, interesting, or just something you want us to know so that we can get to know you better.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, I'll start with that. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Wow. Okay. Here's the thing. I got to choose which one.
Okay.
Because there's quite a few.
Okay.
You know what? I will share this. So many people who do know my story, know my journey, know that I've worked in the music industry and all those amazing things.
Yes.
But I'm a small town girl from Kentucky. And there's been so many ups and downs. And so at one point in my life, going through my own transition, I was homeless. I literally was living with my girlfriend. Me and my daughter lived in my girlfriend's spare bedroom for over a year.
I said something shocking, and I said, wow, that was... That's a testimony. Okay, so you'll give me, I'll be ready to have a testimony. Okay, I love that. Okay.
Because this is our girlfriend's living room, right?
Okay, so Sherry, just what I really want us to dive into, I want us to chat a little bit about why should people even care? I know even for me, as passionate as I am about empowering women and equipping couples, there are times where life hits and I'm just like, whew, this is just too much. And so we have girlfriends who are listening to this conversation and they are just like us. They're trying to make ends meet. They may have their own stuff going on. They might be dealing with an ailing parent. And we're in here talking about, I want you to live with intention, live intentionally. Yes. So my question to you, to that sister, what would you tell her if she's saying, why should I even care about living with intention?
It's the only thing that got me up off the bathroom floor when I was there in the fetal position. Living intentionally is the only thing that allowed me to be there for my father those last 8 years when he was transitioning. It doesn't matter our economic status, it doesn't matter our challenges. If we want to keep moving forward, we have to be intentional. Because the most powerful tools we have in our darkest places and in our highest joys is peace, clarity, and courage. Money, fame, bills, challenges can never steal our peace unless we give it away.
Sherry, I love that. And the reason why I think that's so powerful coming from you, we just heard your testimony. So you're not talking about what you heard, you're talking about what you know.
If it wasn't for me being intentional about where I was, I would still be in that place of hurt and pain and struggle. And this is after having a great career, a great life. So there's no like timeline. It's not in the beginning, the middle, or the end. It's all three. And so being very intentional about how am I going to think? How am I going to be of service to myself so I can be of service to my children? And what am I going to do to get out of this place of misery that is external? Again, we decide our joy. We decide our happiness. We decide our peace. And again, Robin, I'm not saying this from sitting on the mountaintop. I'm saying this when I was taking care of an ailing parent. I'm saying this when my marriage was struggling. I'm saying this when I was homeless. I'm saying this when I couldn't meet the bills. I'm saying this when I was counting pennies just to pay for my daughter's camp.
Absolutely. So the sister who's listening, you just checked off all her excuses.
All of them.
She didn't have any more excuses. Okay. So I believe that we learn best from real life stories. And you just shared a little bit about your story, but I want you to talk about how you began to discover your unique brilliance.
Yes. Well, I am, again, a small town girl. I had this dream of working in the entertainment industry, and I accomplished that goal. I was one of the most influential executives in entertainment. I was responsible for the marketing of Toni Braxton, TLC, Usher. I mean, artists that changed the landscape of R&B at that time. I had everything I ever wanted. I bought my mom a home by the age of 27. I'm making high six figures, and I was miserable. I was miserable because I had this amazing career, but I didn't have a good life. And so I realized that I was spending 100% of my time on 10% of who I was. And if I really wanted to have this great career, this great life, and be intentional about my living, that I need to make some adjustments. So that was my aha moment of, what do you really want, Sherry? And I think that's the question that many women need to start asking themselves. What do I want?
I love that, because this is kind of going a little bit off of the question I had planned, but you just triggered something with that. When you say, what do I want? Often women begin to identify what they think they can make happen. They're afraid to dream for what they really want. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh my God, I talk about that in my book, Exponential Living. I talk about dreaming, and I mean real dreaming, not strategy, not plan, not I want to do this, but I mean really allowing the limitations and the boundaries to come off. And really, when you ask yourself, what do I want? Don't just think about your career. And start focusing on not what I don't know, but what do you know? Because many times we'll say, well, I want to be this or I want to do that, but, and after that but is 100 reasons why we can't.
Absolutely.
Focus on what you do know, not what you don't know.
I love that. And it's okay. There's no cost to dreaming, but there's a big cost when you don't.
That is, oh my gosh,
So this is my favorite part of the conversation. Every time I'm interviewing one of my girlfriends, this is my favorite part. I believe we all have a platform, whether it's your family or you have a huge stage like yours. So I want to ask you this. If you had to talk to a room full of women who were discouraged and they're saying, I just can't do it, what would be what I call your platform point? What would be that one thing you would want them to take away so that they could make change in their life?
We have to stop serving from our fumes and start serving from our overflow. And if I could just kind of explain that.
Please.
Meaning, so many of us are serving from an empty cup. But what we need to do is, if we can look at a cup sitting on a saucer and the water's pouring into the cup and then it pours off and it pours off the side of the saucer. That's where people should get served, is from our overflow. But a lot of times as women, we feel guilty serving ourselves first.
Yes.
And so now we're serving from our fumes. And then we're filled with resentment, we fill with attitudes because we're empty.
Yeah.
And no one said we had to be empty. We can take time for self-care. We can fill our own cups and then allow people to be served from our overflow, from our joy, from our peace, from our kindness that is inherently in us, but we don't fill ourselves up so we can be rejuvenated.
Girl, we could just keep talking. I love when you just said, you don't have to be empty.
You do not have to be empty.
My dear sisters, you don't have to be empty. Thank you, Sherry, so much for being with us today in the Intentional Living Room. Next up, we are going to have our first ICM. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. It is time for my ICM. Y'all, this is going to become a thing. I want you to make sure you tell your best girlfriends, your coworkers, and your family that they do not want to miss Robin's ICM, my intentional coaching moment. It is during this time I can talk directly to you. So let's chat. I don't know about you, but I grew up with an old school mother. She is so old school. When she watches this conversation, she's gonna say, Robin, no one told you to be in your little fancy living room telling all my business. Sorry, Mom. My mother was so old school that she used to carry her purse, her handbag, her pocketbook, whatever you call it. She would carry it everywhere she went. Listen, I'm talking about even in our home. She would carry her purse from the bedroom to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the living room. Wherever she went, her purse went with her. My mother was, well, she still is the kind of mom that you don't dare go into her purse without permission. Even thinking about it makes me nervous. See, the thing is, my mom was not serious necessarily about her purse. She was serious about the things in her purse. She knew what she was carrying around was valuable. My mom kept all kind of stuff in her purse. She might have her medicine. You know, all old school mamas had their pill holder. She might have her receipts, and she kept them just like this. She never threw any of them away. But she would always have her money because she did not play about her coins. My mother took that purse with her everywhere because she knew what she was carrying around had great value. I have a question for you. Do you realize that what you are carrying around is valuable? Listen, I'm not talking about what you have in your purse. I'm talking about what you are carrying around on the inside, who you are. Do you realize, my dear sister, you are walking around as a living treasure? During my conversation with my girlfriend Sherry, we talked about why should you even care about living with intention? Well, here's your answer. You should care because you matter. You are way too valuable to live your life passively. You're way too valuable to live your life without intention. Girl, let me remind you how bad you are. You know you can walk into a room and change the atmosphere just like that. Some of you can walk in a classroom and know exactly what needs to be done to engage the children in that room. Some of you can take scraps in a kitchen and create a masterful meal. Some of you know you have turned a struggling company into a budding business, and you weren't even the CEO. You are bad. You're resilient. You are courageous. You are an overcomer. Now, I know sometimes life can feel like it isn't exactly what you wanted it to be, and conversations like this can seem out of reach for you, but it isn't out of reach. It's within you. Just like my mother protected her purse, you have to protect what you're carrying. Oh, and listen, eventually I found out that my mom was carrying her purse around her room, not because she didn't trust me, my sister, or my dad. That wasn't it. It was because she knew she had just about everything she needed in her purse. And so whatever room she was in, she wanted access to what she needed. She didn't want to have to get up and go get it. She wanted it right there at her fingertips. My dear sister, you have what you need inside of you. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission. Today, right now, you can start the process of living your life with intention. Today, you can begin to see yourself with new eyes. You can begin to see your value. Speaking of value, now you know I have an assignment for you. I want you to take a moment. You just need to set aside 10 minutes. You deserve 10 minutes. I want you to start the process of getting clear about your values. In order to truly live a life with intention, it starts with getting clear on what drives you. What are your core values? And many times, because the demands of life are so demanding, we don't pause long enough to get clear on what matters most, but not anymore. I want you to first review a long list of values, and then I want you to quickly go over that list and pick out the first 20 that stand out to you. Then I want you to narrow that list of 20 down to 10. Then one more time, take that list of 10 down to no more than 5. This exercise will help you begin to see what really matters to you the most. It doesn't mean that those other things or those other values aren't important to you, but it will pinpoint what really resonates with you. Now make sure you are following all of our social media pages to discover what my top 4 values are and how that governs how I live my life. Okay, I cannot wait to hear how this assignment was for you. Now, next up, as we talk about living your life with intention, maybe there are some things that are stopping you. If so, let's go ahead and deal with that now. Up next, I'm having a conversation with my girl, Dr. Tory. We are going to go ahead and push those obstacles out of the way. Let's go. I am so excited to have my very good girlfriend and colleague here with me today in the Intentional living room. When I tell you she is dope, she is all of that. She too is an amazing woman, a wife, a mommy. I call her Tory, but she really is Dr. Tory. She is a licensed professional counselor, and we work very closely together. You know, even as I think about it, y'all are gonna learn so much from her because she even transitioned careers from what she enjoyed to what she knew she was called to do. Okay, let's go ahead and get to it. Her name is Tory Wiley. Welcome to my living room, Dr. Tory.
Thank you, Robin. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm happy you're here, but everyone who comes to the Intentional living room has to commit to 3 things. You ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, you gotta commit to keeping it real. Okay. No pretense in this room.
Got it.
Number 2, we have to make sure we stay relevant. We want everybody to apply what we're talking about. Here's my favorite one. Number 3, you gotta reveal something that's funny, interesting, maybe even shocking so that we can get to know you a little bit. So what would you share with us?
Whoa, off the rope, that I wasn't always a therapist, that I have a couple of past lives.
Yes, You went from what you loved doing one of the careers you did before, right?
Yes.
Sorta-ish, and then you dived into your passion. All right, so Tory, you and I work in the mental health field, and that means we are dealing daily with people and their stuff. And what I always say is that we all have stuff. The challenge is when our stuff begins to interfere with our everyday life. So let me ask you first, why do you think that people are still, even in this day and age, still hesitant to seek support when it comes to those areas in their lives?
Fear.
Fear. Okay, tell me a little bit more.
Fear of being found out, fear of looking like you don't have it all together.
Yes.
You know, living where we live right now in the Atlanta area, it appears that everybody has it together. And I think that pressure keeps a lot of people from being able to open up, to be vulnerable, to talk about the things that are really going on in their lives.
I love that because I think that's a challenge with a lot of women. We want to present that we have it all together. When what I always say is, I might have it together over here and you might have it together over there, and if we come together, we can have it together.
Yes,
All right, so over the next several weeks, I want to help our girlfriends who are going to be tuning into our conversation. And honestly, it's not just the ladies. Anybody can benefit from this conversation. But I want to help them to learn how important it is to not live what I call a passive life, but to really engage, to dive in. But often there are roadblocks and challenges, obstacles that get in the way. So I want to ask you, when it comes to mental health challenges, what would you say some of those challenges are that keeps us from really living our lives intentionally?
Well, first of all, what I find is understanding what you're going through is a mental health issue.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times, as you know, clients come in and we sit down and talk to them, and they will say for a while they didn't realize that it was anxiety, or they didn't realize it was depression.
Absolutely.
That they thought that it was something else going on. Maybe it was circumstantial, maybe it was a death, loss of a job, but it didn't end. It became an ongoing, current, present issue.
Yeah, and what often happens is that people around them will start pointing out, wait a minute, what's going on with you? And that starts to get them thinking, wait a minute, maybe I should do something different. And Tory, another thing, if your mother has been dealing with something forever, or your grandmother, you don't know that it's something that's technically wrong.
Would you agree with that? A lot, yes. You start to think that that's just something normal or something that the family just deals with, but you don't realize that you can actually get help for it.
And why would we stay stuck when we could get help? Okay, so we got to keep it real. I told you that. I remember several months ago, you and I were having a really good conversation, because we realized once you get to a certain age, and don't worry about it, I'm not about to tell our age, but once you get to a certain age, your body and your hormones begin to change, and it can impact your mood. Your motivation, it can impact your mental health, it can impact all of that. So talk to us a little bit and help our sisters so they won't think that they're losing their minds when it comes to that certain age and things start to change.
Absolutely. And I love working with women pertaining to this situation.
Yes.
A lot of times women come in the office and they're saying, you know, I'm not sleeping, I have insomnia, my libido is gone, I'm irritable, I'm angry all the time, and they're not realizing that maybe they're 38, 39 on the brink of becoming perimenopausal, and not understanding there's a link between your mood and the way that you see the world and your hormones. So hormone imbalance is huge, and it can trigger and kickstart a lot of mental health issues.
Yeah, Tory, I'm telling you, I came in your office one day, do you remember that? And I was like, wait a minute, because there's just too much going on. And as we talked about it, it really helps to calm down some of that stuff that I was thinking about, because you'll think you're crazy. But we get to a certain age, and listen, our hormones just begin to change. And so that was so helpful to me. So all those things you just listed, give it to me one more time. You said insomnia, irritability. Somebody just coughing and is annoying you.
Yes, I mean that really aggravated kind of irritability, not just being in traffic, but waking up in the morning with a bad mood, or waking up. I have to be personal. I have to be honest. I would wake up some mornings just angry. Like, why am I so mean? This don't feel like me. I'm not a mean person. All of those things kind of have to attribute to it. Low libido, excess weight gain, sometimes loss of appetite. All of those can attribute to it, All
right, so I alluded to this earlier, but I want to dive into this really quick, because I think it would really help some people, and I don't want us to be two mental health professionals and not talk about this. So let's share with our girlfriends some signs, not just with hormone changes, but some signs that they really may be dealing with something that requires some professional support.
So one of the things, like I already said or stated, was lack of sleep. If you're getting less than 6 or 7 hours, if you're getting 4 or 5 hours, and it's not even consistent sleep, it's that broken sleep, that can be a problem. If you're starting to have issues with being able to process, when you're talking, you're like forgetting, you know, losing your memory. The other thing that happens a lot of times is body aches. With depression, sometimes your body actually starts to hurt. Low motivation, no sense of energy, crying spells.
Listen, Tory, you're helping some girlfriends. Let me tell you, they're like, check. So that's really good. Those are some signs that we need to seek some professional support. All right, so it's time for my favorite point of the conversation. I believe, Tory, that all of us have what I call a platform, right? We all have a platform, whether it's just your family or it's a whole TV show. So I want you to share with me your platform point. And what that is if you were in a room full of women and you had to share with them one thing about not allowing mental health to stop them, what would be your platform point?
being able to regulate your moods, the anxiety and the depression that comes your way, and in very relatable ways. You know, people hear anxiety and depression and they automatically hear something that's more clinical and something that's more of a medicinal situation. But just going outside, taking a walk, getting out of your headspace.
I love that.
I love meditation. You know, I talk all the time about just taking 5 or 10 minutes and playing your favorite. I'm an 80s baby, so when I get
that jam,
yes, I'll go back to Duran Duran, wherever that can connect me to that part of my youth that makes me feel connected to me. That's what I pull on. So I tell people, what connects you to you?
Let's stop it right there. What connects you to you? Tory,
yes.
Thank you for being in the living room. I am so excited that you were here, and I hope that conversation helped you. Do you remember earlier when we talked about my mother carrying around her purse with her because she knew that what was in that purse was valuable? Well, because I am my mother's child, I have picked up on her habit. But instead of carrying around a purse, I carry a big bag. And when I tell you, I have everything and the kitchen sink in that bag. And for some reason, I used to, keyword used to, keep that bag on the front seat of my car. Well, you know what would happen over and over again. When I had a sudden stop, my bag would fall over and everything in it would fall out. And every time that happened, every time I would hit a sudden stop and my bag would fall over and everything in it would fall out, I would have an aha moment. I would find things in my bag that were either not in the right place, did not belong in there at all, or things I just needed to throw away. One time I found a diaper, and at that time my youngest was almost 3. Why was I still carrying that around? I would find a loose eyeliner that should have been in my makeup pouch. No wonder I couldn't find it when I needed it. It was out of place. I would find gum wrappers that should be in the trash. But I realized that my bag represents what often happens in our life many times. On our journey, we hit a sudden stop. You know, life happens, and we find things out of control. And as we try to put things back together, we realize that we have a lot that we are carrying. We are carrying some things that just aren't necessary in this stage of our life. Or we are carrying around things that are just weighing us down. Or we have things that we need, but we aren't using them in the right way. During my conversation with Dr. Tory, we talked about those obstacles that are getting in our way. As you are doing the assignment we talked about earlier, getting clear on your values, I also want you to consider the obstacles that have stopped you. You may not be able to rid yourself of all of them right away, but you can start the process of letting them go. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to be right here to help you. I have so enjoyed our time together. I hope you tune in over the next several weeks as we continue to dive into what it means for you to live your life with intention. Remember, if you aren't living with intention, you are living passively. And when you live passively, life is happening to you. You aren't making life happen, and you are way too fly for that. I'll see you soon.